Yo ho ho, Dom Mafia. Welcome right to another edition of the Dom Mafia Report. And yes, you did read that title correctly. Today we are going to be predicting, which is typically a very competitive room, especially when it comes into training camp, who I think is going to make the team as a wide receiver. Now, our team does look marginally different from last year. We certainly understand of all of the key exits. We understand a lot of the new additions that were added over the offseason. In this video, I'm going to do my best to go on ahead and predict exactly who I believe is going to be on this team in the wide receiver room. Now, I do think that we are going to keep it traditional, and of course, we are only going to keep 6 on the 53-man roster this year. More than likely not, you are not going to be getting a list of 7. I just simply do not see that happening. Right before we dive into it, though, I do want to remind everybody that I am giving away 2 tickets to the Buffalo Bills versus the Pittsburgh Steelers on week 5. In order to enter, you must be a subscriber to this YouTube channel, and you need to leave a comment on this video. And so I am going to be announcing the winner right before week 1. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to scroll through all of my history and so see who is the most engaged with all of my videos leading up until then. Feel free to enter, and may the odds be ever in your favor. And so, all right, Dom Mafia, as mentioned previously, I want to knock out the wide receiver room because I feel like this is one of the most competitive camps when it comes into the competition that's going to be occurring in a couple of weeks. That and the defensive line, I would say, is pretty close. Like I said, I do only see this being a 6-man room, and let's go on ahead and just knock out the obvious. Stephon Diggs is going to be on this team. Not unless he pulls like some type of Henry Ruggs move. There is virtually no reality on the face of the planet where he is not about to be our wide receiver 1. I mean, he is the first Bill in history since Stevie Johnson to record 2 seasons in a row of 1,000 yards or more, and he deserved every single penny of that 4-year extension that he got this past offseason. Really happy to see what's going to happen with him this year. I really hope that teams don't double team him as much as usual, especially toward the end of last season. But without a doubt, Stephon Diggs is on this team. That just goes without saying. Next up is Gabriel Davis, probably the number 1 receiver that I am looking forward to watching, not only on the Buffalo Bills, but I would say the NFL. The way his second half of the season, especially into the postseason, he absolutely balled. Let's just be honest with ourselves. The kid has so much ceiling, and I'm really hoping that he can pick up exactly where he left off. I mean, he deserves to be on the outside of Stephon Diggs at this point. In my opinion, I have a feeling that he will be our number 1 receiver eventually if Stephon Diggs ever does decide to decline. And so as far as overall talent level, but this kid is the future, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's going to be in some serious talks within the next couple of years of a pretty big contract himself. Gabriel Davis is an absolute shoo-in at this point. Next up, which I think is going to be an absolute for sure, is going to be Jamison Crowder. I mean, Dom Mafia, let's be completely honest with ourselves right here. This is Cole Beasley's replacement. As you've heard me talk about Crowder several times, and I think that he is going to be an improvement from what Cole Beasley was putting out in the field last year. Now, some may argue that Beasley wasn't utilized appropriately. Not sure. I wish him the best in whatever his next step is. But in my opinion, I think that not only is Crowder cheaper, and so I also believe that he is a better option. And so the youth on his side, being at age 29, is not hurting anything. He works out of the slot. Although his numbers weren't as sexy as they were within his career in the past, you got to look at who exactly was throwing the ball to him last year. A rookie quarterback in Zach Wilson. And so although that, yes, he did his mom's best friend, total bro, that clearly affected Crowder's impact on the field, especially offensively. I think once you end up pairing Crowder with a quarterback like Josh Allen, and so I am looking forward to the product that he puts out on that field. Next up is going to be Jake Kumerow, who is definitely going to be a surprise. I feel like between Kumerow, Stevenson, and then Austin as well, those 3 are going to be in heavy competition, and I think who ends up winning out. In fact, I think 2 of the 3 of those names are going to make this team, but this competition is solely going to be based off of what they can provide in special teams. With Kumerow, he's always been an absolute favorite of whatever organization that he is on, and let's say that he really didn't have a lot of flashy plays last season with the Buffalo Bills. He was a key contributor right to our special teams, and when his name was called, he did deliver. I see Kumerow making this team strictly off of special teams reasons. So next up is Isaiah McKenzie. I was so pumped that we ended up reaching an agreement to extend this guy onto the Buffalo Bills, give him a new contract. He rightfully deserved it. Once Andre Roberts ended up leaving the team, and so I thought that he fit in very nicely as a return man, maybe minus a couple of fumbles. It's when McDermott decided just to try out Marquez Stevenson on a few is right after a while. I think that he is an absolute great player. And then his ability to be able to take over for Beasley when Beasley was injured out of the slot, especially during that Patriots game where he absolutely balled the out. He is a shoo-in for this roster. And so I'm very excited to see his progress going into 2022 as well. He's a roster lock in my opinion. And so last but not least, the final spot. This is definitely going to be a roll of the dice. This is going to be highly controversial, but I do see Tavon Austin being the 6th receiver on this team. Do keep in mind, this guy was legitimately a first-round draft pick only a couple of years ago. Now, I do understand that he did have an injury history. However, I feel like the number one reason why he is going to be on this team is his ability and capability of being able to return the football. I mean, say, for example, that Isaiah McKenzie does show some sort of struggles that he was demonstrating last year while making that transition right into returning. I have a feeling that this guy is going to be fantastic depth. And even if we get 75% of what we saw during his first year, I think that he is absolutely going to be a steal. And I was absolutely thrilled once the Buffalo Bills ended up extending him a contract into being in the competition. Now, as far as Marquez Stevenson, as far as Isaiah Hodgins, as far as Tanner Gentry, and so even going as far as Khalil Shakur, our most recent draft pick, I think that all of them are either going to be released, and then maybe only a couple of them will be on the practice squad. If I am a gambling man, out of all of those names, I'm seeing Shakur, and then I am going to see Hodgins being on our practice squad at this point, and then with everybody else being released. That is where my head is at as far as this receiver room is concerned. Like I said, we're just talking 6 right now. So do me a favor, let me know, what do you think our receiver room is going to be? Maybe you think there is going to be 7. I really want to hear some names. So I really think that the controversy of what I just said is really only going to be circulating around Austin and then Kumaro, but really interested to hear your thoughts. Dal Mafia, thank you so much for tuning in. Definitely be sure to follow me on Twitter. That's where you can have the best conversations with me about the Buffalo Bills or really anything. And don't forget about my competition to potentially winning tickets to the Buffalo Bills and the Steelers game, which I, in fact, will be there and be more than happy to meet any of you. Thank you so much for tuning in. And before I let you go, you better always remember, let's go, Buffalo.